stacked. And yet again, it'll be 2 free throws for Barcelo and Corona.
Kind of inexcusable. That foul didn't come from in front of him. That came from a Perry player slapping around from behind him, trying to hit that ball out behind him. Really, unless you see a clear opportunity to hit that ball out behind the player, you shouldn't be slapping his hands around like that. You're just going to draw a foul almost every single time.
Barcelo's first and second free throws fall. 68-45 here in the fourth quarter.
I believe Corona is 100% from the line this evening. I haven't seen them miss one free throw. That strong fundamental play is what win basketball games. Like we said, still up 23 points on a very good Perry High team. There isn't one name that comes to mind. It's the whole Corona roster that's really winning this game.
And Perry inside to Sewig. Sewig with the layup.
Little momentary mental lapse there by Corona. All 5 players came up to the line, and Perry's one in motion was open to make that layup.
So Perry, it seems like for the first time in a while, gets a defensive stop as it's Jake Mortensen looking for pass drives right side, spin move to Sewig. Sewig fakes out his guy, the floater falls, and Sewig has 4 consecutive points.
Luke C. McMahon, he's been an interesting player to watch this year, always very fired up, as we saw earlier with his SWAT, but also a good player, good big man down in the basket.
As Corona come back and take those 2 points back, as it's Kyle Van Haren. Passes to Jake Mortensen. Mortensen pops from 3, and that falls. And now this might be too little too late for Perry as they're starting to score the ball well. But I think the lead is just too insurmountable for Perry, and I feel it's going to be a loss in the books for Perry in this one. I feel it's safe to say.
Any other team in the state, I would say this is doable, but just how fundamentally good Corona at Del Sol is, as you can see there, picking up an offensive rebound and almost a second one.
As it's Van Haren, Austin Van Haren, that is, who shoots from 3. Putback is good by De La Viaga.
It's a good job by Kobe De La Viaga to put the extra effort in to make sure that they got those points. Perry gotten that lead down to only 16 points. Doable in 5.5 minutes, but going to be incredibly difficult against this outstanding Corona team. Corona's already hit Perry's per game point average at 70 points, and Perry's offensive production is off par with their normals. Neither one of the Howard brothers has been playing very well or nearly at the level we're used to seeing, probably due to several factors, one of them being playing against an outstanding defense of Corona, another one being a very high pressure situation. About to go into playoffs, this game would have been an outstanding morale and just self-confidence boost for the Pumas. If they could beat the #1 team in the state, they would feel like their playoff run is secured.
As Kuiper from Corona slams home his second dunk of the night. And right now for the Pumas, it's all bench players, with the except Mortensen. He's the only starter in the game as De La Viaga takes a shot from the wing. That does not fall. But the ball is
Bryce Fisher is also in the game as he gets that swat for the steal. Bryce Fisher, a very aggressive defensive player.
As Davis just finger rolls that one home. Because of Kuiper's 2 dunks, you might have expected something more. Maybe a dunk, maybe a lob.
That's a smart play, though, in this situation. You want to increase your lead, not try to make a flashy play for the highlight reel, but instead get those points on the board.
Austin Van Haren making a name for himself for some more playing time in this one right there. Gets the nice little box out offensive rebound and gets the and one right there.
Austin Van Haren, interesting story. Started on varsity earlier this season and then just didn't play as well as they had hoped, and he was bumped down to starting on JV. Actually played JV in this in their match today. and is now playing pretty well in varsity as well, getting some offensive contribution that the Pumas desperately need.
As his and one opportunity falls short, as Kuiper is going to bring it up for for Corona, as it's going to be Davis. The layup, the putback is good, however, for number 24, Jarrett Givens.
See that a lot with Corona, just putting in the extra effort. They've had a lot of offensive rebounds tonight, which the Pumas have had almost none of. Seems like the Pumas are so worried about getting back on defense that as soon as a shot is taken, they just run back to the other side of the court and forget the chance of an offensive rebound even occurred.
As Benson's layup falls no good. Mortensen, the pass cross court. Sewig, and wide open, Austin Van Haren, but Sewig still knocks down the triple.
Luke Seawick playing very well tonight so far. They need to get that kind of play that him and Austin Van Haren have put up so far in this game out of their entire roster.
As it's Davis now with the kick to Benson. Benson the better three-point shooter, and he proves why. The ball got passed to him right there.
Smart play by Corona, good team play. Number 50 recognizes, that's Russ Davis, recognizes that his teammate is a better three-point shooter, and instead of trying to inflate his own stats, he goes for the team victory.
Bryce Fisher is going to get fouled on that one, and he will head to the line for 2 free throws. So we have a 79-59 score with 2:56 left to go in this game. Corona picks up their 4th team foul. Perry with 6. And with under 3 minutes, a 20-point lead, I feel like it's safe to say we can put this one to bed.
Yeah, unfortunately for Perry, it was all Corona tonight. They tried to execute their game plan, which they did pretty well. I'd say they played a fast-paced game. Corona's put up 80 points. They've put up 60 points. And they've passed the ball. They moved the ball well, but moving the ball doesn't mean that you're going to get smart plays and smart shots, and they just haven't tonight, putting up quick shots and just not being able to convert on offense and getting very few stops on defense.
Bryce Fisher from the line misses another, and he's going to pick up the foul there, the reach-in foul, which will mean free throws for Corona, the 1-and-1, as that is their 7th personal foul.
I believe that may be Bryce Fisher's 4th foul.
As right now he's getting a talking to from head coach Babinski as he finds a seat on the bench. Yep.
Bryce Fisher, very, very good defensive player, very aggressive, very smart, sometimes too aggressive, as he's almost fouled out this evening and is now on the bench. It's good to see that extra effort. You can see he's got the heart. He wants to win this game, and unfortunately it's just not going to happen for these Pumas unless they can somehow put up 22 points in 3 minutes without letting the Aztecs score at all. That would be a miracle from God.
As Corona 1 for 2 from the line, and the one positive thing about Bryce Fisher is no matter what the score is, no matter what the situation is, he always seems like he's giving 110%. While some of the Pumas on this team look defeated and they look like the game is over, Bryce Fisher never stops playing, and as a coach, you have to love that.
Yeah, the guards for Perry, with the exception of Jordan Howard, are relatively young players. Bryce Fisher, outstanding player, just a sophomore. Marcus Howard, amazing player, averages 28 points a game, just a freshman. It's good to see the future of this Perry's basketball team is being developed out there on the court right now.
We have another foul on Perry, so it'll be number 24. Jarrett Givens to the line, who will shoot the 1-and-1 for Corona.
It's like number 15, Tate Smith, is checked into the game. That, to me, is kind of a mark that Coach Joe Babinski realizes that this game is basically sealed, and he's trying to get some other players some playing time. Number 23, Marcus Ybarra, also checked into the game. fresh faces that we haven't seen so far in this game. Looks like Babinski's trying to get some of his younger players a little bit of playing time in a high-pressure, very skilled team matchup that they have with Corona right now.
As both teams, I think, as it should be, neither of them have their starters out on the floor. And I would expect these guys not to be the even role players. These are the bench warmers that are out on the court now with a lead this big. So we have a three-point shot from number 33, Arnold, as that falls no good.
Thing about Corona del Sol, what makes them such an outstanding team is that, like you said, their bench players are playing some phenomenal basketball. You could put their bench players against several teams in Arizona right now, and you'd have a great game against that team's starting lineup. Corona just has such depth, such talent throughout their roster.
De La Viaga for Perry lays that one home, and we have a whistle here.
Going back to the drawing boards, it's going to be interesting what Perry tries to do the rest of this week to come back against the last two losses. Before last Friday, Perry only suffered one loss the whole season to Chaparral High, defeating very good teams such as number 5 Dobson and Desert Ridge several times. But at the end of the season, they've lost now to Highland and Corona consecutively. Tomorrow they play number 3, I believe, Gilbert, and Friday they play number 4, I believe, Hamilton. Both very good teams. Going to be interesting to see what Perry does to play better, because like we've seen tonight, they've played their game plans and it just wasn't successful. It's very frustrating as a coach when your players do what you tell them to and they still don't win the game.
Austin Van Haren, without a doubt, the shining star, hopefully maybe for the future for Perry's next few games, as he's put out what I think a very outstanding performance coming off the bench. He's been really the only one to provide points, who's been reliable, who's been consistent with the shot the entire night, as we have under 10 seconds now in this one. And look who it is again, none other than Austin Van Haren.
I mean, credit where credit's due. Austin Van Haren is currently playing against Corona's bench players, but we saw tonight just a more talented, smarter Corona del Sol team. Perry executed their game plan, Corona executed their game plan, and just simply shut down the Howard brothers. Like you talked about, when those two don't play well, Perry doesn't play well. Very, very little offensive contribution out of those two, and as a team, very little offensive contribution. They only lost by 12, but I would really consider this more of a 20-point loss, because that's what they trailed by the entire game and just made those 8 points up at the end of the game against Corona's bench players.
And for Corona, as we've been saying, which as a coach I would love to have, it wasn't one person standing out. It was the entire team. It was a team effort tonight against Perry, to whereas Perry, as we've been saying, the Howard brothers, just like you said, if they're not on, the team's not on, and that was another case in point tonight. But the Corona del Sol Aztecs with the victory over Perry tonight. Jordan Palacio, Caleb Braggett, we're signing off here from Tempe, Arizona.
Check in with us tomorrow night at Perry High School against Gilbert. It's going to be a great one. Let's see if Perry can rebound from these two losses.